How's it going, guys? I hope you're all doing well out there today, wherever you are in the world. And in this video, we're going to take a look at some Wampler drive pedals. So Wampler have just dropped the Moxie, which is a Screamer-inspired pedal in a pedal board friendly format with the normal Wampler improvements and appointments. And I thought instead of just doing a demo of it on its own, it'd be cool to compare it to two other of their drive boxes that kind of sit in some main camps of overdrive. So you've got the Tumnus, which sort of sits in the Klon camp, and the Belle, which is that Nobels ODR inspired pedal. And this way, I think that one, if you don't own any of these, you can decide which one may suit your rig or your taste better. But also, if you own a Tumnus or a Belle, you can see how the Moxie might either complement them or replace them, depending on what you want more or less of. So we've got these three dialed up today. I'm going to do a little introduction to the Moxie quickly first, and then we'll do some comparison. So as I said, the Moxie is a Screamer-inspired box. You've got your normal volume, tone and gain as you'd find on a standard Screamer. And then your voice control is quite cool. So to the left is your standard mid-hump bass reduction kind of thing. If you've played a tube Screamer, you know exactly what kind of sonic signature they have. And if you take it over to the right, that sort of seems to flatten everything out, increase the bass, makes it far less pronounced in that mid-range, so it makes it a more flat kind of drive circuit. And then over on this side, you've got a fat control. So over to the left is standard. If you add that in, if I recall, it adds a MOSFET kind of stage to the circuit. It adds a lot of gain, a bit of volume, and just sort of rounds the whole thing out to my ears. And I believe that is the kind of sort of Zen drive kind of trick, although this has far more gain than I recall a Zen drive having. So between those two switches, you can run the full spectrum of Screamer-inspired tones. Today I'm playing into my custom audio PT100 set on a clean channel, so vaguely Fender-ish, but I would say with a little bit more mid-range. Sounds like this. So then adding in the Moxie with everything sort of at midday volume at Unity in the standard Screamer settings on the toggle, sounds like this. So that real signature tube Screamer kind of thing. It's got quite a bit of gain on tap. Can do the lower gain thing as well. So I can do that real kind of bluesy low gain thing. Nice tone control on it as well. And it's sort of got a bit more volume than I recall tube Screamers having. I don't own a tube Screamer at the moment, but I recall them being a little bit weedy in the volume, but this has got plenty of volume on tap. So then if we have a look at the voice, this, like I said, flattens out the mid-range a little bit. So if you're not into that super mid-hump kind of thing, and you want something that's perhaps a little bit more transparent, even though that's a hideously overused word that doesn't really mean anything, but you know what I'm sort of angling at. So that adds a nice different character to it. And then this fat switch, like I said, adds more gain and volume and roundness. So more, I would say it leads it more, like I said, towards that Zen drive kind of thing, but with more gain. So yeah, like I said, nice and round. So if we up the tone, get a bit more of a sort of singing lead kind of sound. And with that fat switch in, we can take the gain right up, and it gets pretty high gain. Bearing in mind that's the amp sounds, that's you know, a hell of a lot of gain. And then obviously with the fat switch in, you can then change the voicing as well. And it backs off beautifully, as you can hear. So like I said, between those two switches and the controls, it's a really flexible overdrive. So now we've had a quick look at the Moxie, let's compare that tonal character to the other pedals on the board. So I just want to compare the three boxes into a clean channel to give you an idea of each one of their sonic signatures. So I've set them up kind of how I think best represents that kind of circuit. We're at a mid-gain kind of setting at the moment. So for reference, the Belle, the clipping switch is out, which puts it more stock ODR, and the Moxie, everything is left, which puts it more traditional tube screamer. So, clean sound. So they definitely sit in different places in the spectrum to me. The Moxie is that classic tube screamer thing with what I would say is quite a a hump in the upper mid-range. The Tumnus is fuller, with more bass content and a lower mid kind of push. And the Belle is overall, I would say, flatter than the other two. But again, obviously with the tweaks and stuff that Wampler have added to these pedals, you can get them into different kind of ballparks. I like them all, and we'll get into how they stack together as well very shortly. All three are now set up for a lower gain thing, more of a pushed clean, and they all sound like this. So again, you can really, even at lower gain, hear the different characters of each pedal and how they would interact with amps of different voices. Similar settings, but I flicked over the voice switch on the Moxie so it makes it a bit flatter. I'm just going to push the clipping switch in on the Belle quickly as well. Just quickly, I want to show off a little bit of stacking. I find the Tumnus and the Moxie stack fabulously together, and between the two pedals you get those different shades of drive. So one way you can do it is use the Moxie as your main drive and then use the Tumnus after it for a bit of a push in the mid. So the Moxie's set in the flatter voice with the fat mode, so the Tumnus will take it, and I think it would like pop it out of the mix, sort of a solo boost type thing, or just to fill it out. Clean sound reference. So you can use it like that to push it out, or vice versa. You could use the Tumnus as sort of your main breakup sound, and then push the Moxie into it again to push it out for more solo stuff. So for this, I would take the voice into the more mid-rangey position to give it a bit of a push. And I think where the mid-range of both pedals is slightly different, you get a really full mid-range. It sounds a little bit honky in this context, but in a mix that will push you right to the forefront. Engaging the Belle, this is what the Tumnus and the Moxie sound like stacking into the front of it. in sound samples, but I do want to show you how well all three of these pedals push an already driven amp. So this is the crunch sound of my PT100. And I've set these all up for a lower gain thing with a bit of a volume bump and the tone just to where I like it. So that's with the Moxie set in the sort of standard screamer mode, so you can flatten out that kind of push as well. And obviously you can do the standard screamer trick of volume all the way up, gain all the way down, tone to taste, and it just sort of tightens up everything and gives it a bit of a push. Let's get a little bit more gain on the amp. I mean, the PT100 isn't a huge hard rock metal amp, but on something with way more girth, it would tighten that right up. So yeah, it covers all of those classic screamer basses. So that about covers it. Thanks for joining me today for a proper nerd out over some compact Wampler pedals. I've tried to keep this video as short as possible, but when you're dealing with three pedals, it gets out of control pretty quickly. But I hope you got what you needed from this video. Please check out Wampler's website for more info on the Moxie or any of these pedals. Worth mentioning, the Tumnus I've got, I think, is an older graphic, but exactly the same circuit. If you haven't already for any reason, please look at liking and subscribing. It really helps push the channel forward and keeps me being able to work with these companies and bring you the latest gear, whatever you're doing with the rest of your day. I hope it's great, and I'll see you again in another video. Cheers, guys.